Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and let's imagine this. The hum of a sold-out stadium, the smell of stage fog mixing with expensive designer cologne, and that heavy electric silence just seconds before the lights turn red. We see them, Stray Kids, the world's dominating force, looking like modern-day royalty under the strobe lights. But behind that flawless choreography and the deafening screams of Stay, there's a world we rarely get to see. A world of strict rituals, unspoken pacts, and golden rules that are whispered about in the hallways of JYPE. As the tour dates get circled in red on the calendar, the atmosphere in the practice room shifts. It's no longer just about the music, it's about survival, discipline, and a level of perfection that borders on the obsessive. We've heard the rumors, the insider buzz about the things that are strictly off-limits once the bags are packed and the passports are out. What are the sacrifices they make to stay at the top? What is that one thing even the most chaotic members wouldn't dare to touch before hitting the stage? Today, we're peeling back the curtain on the unseen boundaries of the maniacs. This isn't just a tour prep, it's a transformation. And trust me, the rules they live by might just change the way you see your bias forever. You might want to lean in for this one, because things are about to get very real. Number 7. The Silent Sanctuary. When the loudest voice goes cold. There is a specific kind of tension that fills the air of a practice room when the clock hits 3 a.m. and the humid soul heat starts pressing against the floor-to-ceiling mirrors. It's a vibe that insiders often describe as the calm before the storm, where the playful chaos we usually see from the group suddenly evaporates, replaced by a sharp clinical focus. And right at the center of this shift, there's a rule that involves the man known for his lightning-fast tongue and sharp-witted energy. We're talking about Changbin. As someone who basically breathes through a microphone, his presence is usually the sonic heartbeat of the room jokes, loud encouragement, or just that gravelly laugh that echoes off the walls. But as the world tour countdown begins, a heavy, unspoken ban settles over him. It's the vocal blackout. People who have caught glimpses of the backstage atmosphere during these high-stakes prep weeks often mention how eerie it feels when the most talkative member suddenly goes completely silent. It's not about being moody or tired, it's a calculated, almost religious preservation of his instrument. In the industry, the buzz is that Changbin treats his throat like a glass relic. Before a tour, the loudest guy in the room becomes a ghost. No shouting, no unnecessary chatting, and definitely no straining those vocal cords that have to carry the weight of God's menu, or S-Class, for 30 cities straight. Imagine the sheer discipline it takes for someone with that much natural fire to suddenly switch it all off. You'll see him communicating through frantic hand gestures, scribbling on a notepad, or just giving that intense focus nod while everyone else is laughing. The air around him starts to smell like throat-soothing herbal teas and honey, a stark contrast to the sharp, metallic scent of the stage equipment being tested nearby. It's a transformation that defines the professional side of Stray Kids that stays rarely witnessed in full. Behind the scenes, the staff knows, when Changbin stops talking, the tour has officially begun. It's a period of self-imposed isolation within the group, a mental and physical lockdown to ensure that when the lights finally hit him in front of 50,000 people, that rap isn't just good, it's lethal. There's a specific kind of weight in that silence, a reminder that being a top-tier idol isn't just about the moments of glory, it's about the hours of holding back. It's about the frustration of wanting to join the joke, but knowing that one laugh too loud could cost you a note in the second act of a sold-out show in London or Los Angeles. As he sits in the corner of the waiting room, draped in an oversized hoodie, eyes hidden, he's not just a rapper, he's a soldier preparing for a long, grueling campaign. But if the loudest member is forced into silence, what happens when the most energetic dancer is told he has to stop moving entirely? That brings us to a restriction that feels almost cruel for someone who lives to be in motion. Would you be able to stay still when your whole world is built on rhythm? Number 6. The 0G gravity. When the stage king must ground his soul. Imagine the electric hum of a dance studio at midnight, where the air is thick with the scent of expensive laundry detergent, floor wax, and the metallic tang of sweat. It's the kind of environment where movement is the only language spoken, and usually, the center of that conversation is a blur of blonde hair and razor-sharp precision. We're talking about Hyunjin. As the member often described as the performance king, his body is practically a finely tuned instrument, an extension of the music itself. But as the world tour preparations reach their peak, a rule descends upon him that feels almost unnatural for someone who moves like water. It's the adrenaline embargo. Based on the whispers from the inner circles of the choreographers and the staff who watch these boys transform, there is a specific mandate for Hyunjin. He is strictly forbidden from over-dancing or engaging in any high-impact physical activity outside the official rehearsal window. To anyone else, this might sound like a dream, but for someone like him who feels every beat in his bones, it's a psychological cage. You'll hear stories about him sitting on the sidelines, his fingers twitching to the rhythm, his eyes tracking every movement of the other members like a caged tiger. The vibe around him becomes heavy, reflective, almost melancholic. He's often seen wrapped in oversized, soft-knit sweaters that hide the lean muscle he's spent months building, looking more like a quiet art student than a global superstar. The perfume he wears during this time? It's often something earthy and grounding sandalwood or cedar scent that keeps him rooted to the floor when his spirit wants to fly. The insider buzz suggests this isn't just about avoiding a twisted ankle or a pulled hamstring, it's about emotional conservation. Hyunjin is known for pouring 200% of his soul into every flick of the wrist, every gaze into the camera. If he gives too much during the prep weeks, there's a fear that the spark won't be as blinding when the stadium lights finally hit him. He's essentially being told to starve his passion so that he's absolutely ravenous by opening night. It's a mental game of cat and mouse. You might see him during a break, leaning against a cold marble wall, completely still, while the others are messing around. There's a mystery in that stillness, a quiet power being hoarded. He's saving every drop of that chaotic, beautiful energy for the moment the maniac intro starts. The staff watches him closely, almost like guards protecting a masterpiece that hasn't been unveiled yet. It makes you wonder, if the most expressive dancer is forced to remain a statue, what kind of explosion are we going to see when that ban is finally lifted? But if staying still is a struggle for a dancer, how does the group Sunshine handle a rule that threatens to dim his very light? Does the brightest smile have a breaking point when the pressure of a world tour starts to weigh in? Number 5. The sun's eclipse. The high price of guarding the golden glow. There's a specific kind of warmth that Felix brings into a room, something that insiders often describe as instant healing. It's the smell of expensive vanilla-scented hand cream, the sound of a deep, rumbling giggle, and an aura that feels like a literal ray of sunshine hitting a cold marble floor. But as the tour trucks start lining up and the set lists are finalized, a shadow falls over that brightness. For Felix, the rule isn't about silence or stillness, it's the social solitude pact. This is the part of the K-pop machine that feels the most jarring. According to the whispers from the stylists and those who move in the outer circles of the JYPE trainees, the closer they get to D-Day, the more Felix is encouraged to withdraw. Imagine being the emotional glue of a group, the one who reaches out, the one who thrives on the energy of the people around him, and then suddenly being told to switch it off. As the tour prep intensifies, the sunshine of Stray Kids is often seen retreating into a world of noise, canceling headphones and oversized bucket hats. The atmospheric shift is palpable. In the hallways of the building, you might catch a glimpse of him, not the bubbly, TikTok dancing Felix we adore, but a version that looks deeply introspective, almost guarded. The insider buzz suggests this is a survival tactic for his mental battery. A world tour is an emotional marathon, a constant cycle of giving, and giving more to thousands of screaming fans. If Felix burns all his social fuel on staff, friends, or even the members during the weeks leading up to the first show, he risks hitting the stage on empty. It's a bizarre sight for anyone who knows his true nature. You'll see him in the corner of the hair and makeup room, eyes closed, completely detached from the chaotic chatter of the hairdryers and the clinking of makeup brushes. He's not being distant. He's building a fortress around his heart. The scent around him shifts from something sweet to something more medicinal, eucalyptus or peppermint, meant to keep his mind sharp while his social self is in hibernation. There's a quiet tragedy in seeing someone so naturally radiant forced to dim their own light just to make sure it lasts for the next 6 months on the road. The staff walks on eggshells around him during this phase, respecting the eclipse. They know that every word he doesn't say now is a scream he'll be able to give to stay later. It makes you realize that the Felix we see on stage, the one who cries with us and pours his heart out, is a version of himself he's been painstakingly saving up for weeks in the dark. But if the group's emotional anchor has to drift away into solitude, What happens to the leader who has to hold the entire ship together? When the pressure is this high, what is the one thing Bang Chan is absolutely forbidden from doing for himself? Number 4. The Captain's Curse, the forbidden burden of the all-nighter. If you've ever walked the sterile, dimly lit corridors of the JYPE building at 4 a.m., you'll know there is one scent that defines the atmosphere. The bitter, sharp aroma of overpriced black coffee and the ozone smell of overheated studio equipment. Usually, this is where you'd find the silhouette of Bang Chan hunched over a glowing monitor, his fingers dancing across a keyboard as he polishes a transition or tweaks a bass line for the tour. But as the departure gates loom closer, a hard ban is placed on the very thing that made him a leader. It's the producer's blackout. According to the whispers from the engineers and the senior staff who've worked alongside him for years, the closer they get to the first show, the more Chan is strictly forbidden from entering the production suites alone. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a survival mandate enforced by the people who care about him most. For a man who essentially built the sonic DNA of Stray Kids from scratch, his instinct is to carry every technical glitch and every musical imperfection on his own shoulders. The insider buzz describes a shift in his aura from the warm, best leader vibe to something much more jagged and restless. When he's barred from the studio, he looks like a captain who's been told he can't touch the wheel while the ship is in a storm. You'll see him pacing the practice room, his eyes bloodshot but sharp, smelling of a frantic mix of citrus-scented energy drinks and the heavy, musky scent of a leather jacket he hasn't taken off in 12 hours. It's a battle of wills. The staff has to practically guard the studio doors because they know if he slips inside, he won't come out until the sun rises, and a leader who hasn't slept is a leader who might break under the pressure of a 3-hour set list. The tension during this time is heavy. You can feel it in the way he interacts with the younger members. He's still the protector, but there's a visible strain in his jawline, a quiet desperation to fix things that aren't even broken. He's forced to delegate, to trust the external engineers, and to most painfully prioritize his own physical vessel over the digital files of the music. It's a psychological tug-of-war. The all-nighter is his comfort zone, his sanctuary, and taking that away from him before a tour is like stripping a soldier of his armor. He becomes vulnerable, raw, and hyper-aware of every minor detail. Those who've seen him in the dressing room during these weeks describe a man who is vibrating with suppressed energy, his mind clearly still calculating frequencies and BPMs while someone is trying to style his hair. It's a reminder that being the father of the group comes with a price sometimes. The hardest thing to do for your team is to stop working for them. But if the leader is struggling to let go of the control panel, what happens when the most laid-back member is forced to confront a rule that challenges his very essence? Can the coolest guy in the room handle a restriction that hits closer to home than anyone expects? Number 3. The soul's anchorage. When the free spirit is forbidden from wandering. There is a very specific type of energy that Hyunjin brings to a room. It's like a live wire, flickering between genius-level musicality and a chaotic, nervous wit. In the Backstage world, he's the one smelling of expensive, heavy musk and the faint, sweet scent of chocolate he snacks on to keep his energy up. But as the tour rehearsals intensify and the District 9 intensity kicks in, a rule is whispered through the hallways of the practice studios that feels like a weight on his chest. It's the vulnerability quarantine. According to the subtle buzz from the creative directors and the staff who handle the group's day-to-day logistics, Han is strictly barred from emotional overextension in the weeks leading up to the first show. Imagine being a natural-born songwriter whose entire creative process is built on feeling everything, the highs, the lows, the anxieties at a 100% volume. Now, imagine being told you have to numb it down. The insider buzz describes a shift in Han's presence during this time. He becomes like a high-performance engine idling in a garage. You'll see him in the corner of the waiting room, his usual witty banter replaced by a distant, glassy-eyed stare as he listens to demos on a loop. He's often wrapped in layers of heavy streetwear, creating a physical barrier between himself and the world. The staff knows that if Han lets his mind wander too far into the what-ifs of a world tour, the pressure of the solo stages, the fear of a voice crack, the sheer scale of the crowds, he might spiral before the plane even leaves the tarmac. It's a mandatory mental lockdown. Those who have caught glimpses of him during the final run-throughs describe a man who looks like he's holding his breath. There's a quiet, electric tension in his jaw. He's forbidden from dwelling on the soul of the music too much, forced instead to focus on the cold, hard mechanics of the choreography and the technical cues. It's a bizarre, almost clinical way to treat an artist, but it's the only way to ensure he doesn't burn out emotionally before the third city. You can almost feel the static in the air around him, a mix of untapped brilliance and suppressed nerves. He's essentially being told to stop being Han for a moment so he can become a performer. The stylists often mention how he clings to familiar, grounding scents, lavender or vanilla, to keep the world from feeling too sharp. It makes you wonder, if the group's most sensitive soul is forced to build a wall around his heart just to survive the opening night, what happens to the member who is usually the most grounded? What is the one human comfort that Seungmin is strictly denied when the tour countdown hits 0? Number 2. The vocal sanctuary. The forbidden indulgence of the perfectionist. There is a legendary kind of discipline that radiates from Seungmin, a vibe that insiders often describe as chilled glass, transparent, sharp, and incredibly sturdy. When you walk into a waiting room where he's prepping, the air doesn't smell like the usual chaotic mix of hairspray and fast food. It smells like high-end eucalyptus throat lozenges and the sterile, crisp scent of a freshly steamed white shirt. He is the group's vocal dandy, the one whose pitch is so reliable it's almost frightening. But as the tour rehearsals reach that fever pitch where everyone's nerves are frayed, a draconian rule is slapped onto his daily life. It's the total thermal lockdown. Based on the whispers from the personal stylists and the touring vocal coaches who watch him like hawks, Seungmin is strictly forbidden from touching anything cold, and we mean anything. In the sweltering heat of a Seoul summer or the dry, biting chill of a world tour kickoff, while the other members might be desperately grabbing for iced Americanos or cooling fans, Seungmin is essentially living in a forced sauna. The insider buzz paints a picture of a man who is constantly wrapped in scarves, even indoors, sipping lukewarm water that's been monitored for the exact safe temperature. To a normal person, it sounds like a minor annoyance, but for Seungmin, whose entire identity on stage is built on the crystalline purity of his high notes, this rule is a mental battlefield. You'll see him in the backstage corridors, his face slightly flushed from the lack of air conditioning, looking like a quiet scholar caught in a heat wave. He doesn't complain, but there's a visible, simmering intensity in his eyes. The staff mentions how he'll linger near the open door of a rehearsal room just to catch a stray breeze, only to be ushered back into the warm zone by a protective manager. This isn't just about avoiding a cold. It's about the psychological weight of knowing that one slip-up, one momentary craving for a brain freeze could compromise the Seungmin standard. He's a perfectionist who has been denied his only physical relief. The atmosphere around him becomes thick with the scent of honey and ginger, a constant reminder that his body is no longer his own, it belongs to the stadium speakers. There's something deeply moving, yet haunting, about seeing him stand perfectly still while the rest of the world is cooling down. He's sacrificing the most basic human comfort just to ensure that when the bridge of Levanter, or S-class, hits, his voice doesn't just reach the rafters, it pierces them. The people around him describe a man who is vocalizing even when he's silent, his throat muscles constantly working, his mind calculating the humidity of the next city. It's a level of dedication that feels almost monastic. But if the most disciplined singer is living in a self-imposed fever, what happens to the lead of the group? What is the one chaotic instinct that Lee No is forced to kill before he steps onto that plane? Is it possible to tame the most unpredictable member of Stray Kids? Number 1. The Predator's Cage. The mandatory taming of the dancing jewel. There is a legendary, almost dangerous aura that surrounds Lee No when he enters a room. It's the scent of a very specific, high-end, woody perfume, something that smells like expensive rain and sharp smoke, mixing with the electric tension of someone who knows exactly how much power they hold. In the world of Stray Kids, he is the dancing gem, the one with the pro mindset that can make a mistake look like a masterpiece. But as the tour rehearsals reach their absolute breaking point, the most terrifying rule of all is placed on him. It's the primal suppression. Based on the intense whispers from the choreography team and the veteran staff who have seen him since the survival show days, Lee No is strictly forbidden from freestyling or going off-script in any capacity during the final prep weeks. For someone like Lee No, whose brain is wired for movement and whose personality is defined by a sharp, unpredictable wit, being told to stay inside the box is like asking a predator to forget how to hunt. The insider buzz describes a visible shift in his energy. He becomes unnervingly still. While the other members might be venting their stress through jokes or extra practice, Lee No enters a state of hyperfixation. You'll see him standing in front of the practice room mirrors, not moving for 10 minutes, just staring at his own reflection with a gaze that could cut glass. He's not allowed to add that extra Lee No flair, that subtle smirk, or that sharp movement that isn't in the official guide. The staff says the atmosphere around him during this time feels heavy, like the air before a lightning strike. It's a psychological battle that most people wouldn't understand. He has to kill his own creative instincts to ensure the machine of the tour runs with 100% synchronization. Those who see him backstage during these final days describe a man who looks like he's vibrating on a different frequency. He'll be sitting in the corner, his cat-like eyes tracking everyone's movements, but he remains a statue. The perfume he wears starts to feel like a mask, a sophisticated scent hiding the raw, chaotic energy of a performer who is being forced to hold back his best weapons. It's the ultimate sacrifice for a dancer of his caliber. To be the best, you have to stop being yourself and become a perfect gear in the clockwork. Managers describe a moment, usually just hours before the first show, where the ban is finally lifted. The way his face changes the way that mask slips to reveal the absolute fire underneath is enough to give anyone chills. It makes you realize that what we see on stage isn't just talent, it's the result of a man who has spent weeks being a prisoner of his own discipline. When Lee No finally lets go, it's not just a dance, it's a release of everything he was told he couldn't do. And as the lights go black and the first bass drop hits, you have to wonder, after all that suppression, is the world truly ready for what happens when Stray Kids are finally let off the leash?
So, next time you see them standing on that stage, shrouded in the roar of thousands and the glow of a sea of light sticks, take a second to look past the glitter and the perfect hair. Behind every high note from Seungmin is a month of shivering in the heat. Behind every explosive move from Lee No is a mountain of suppressed instincts. And behind Chan's tired smile is a leader who had to learn the hard way that his health is the group's greatest asset. These forbidden rules aren't just about discipline. They are the invisible scars of a group that refuses to give you anything less than a miracle. It's a reminder that greatness isn't just about what you can do, it's about what you're willing to give up so that for 3 hours, in a stadium full of strangers, everyone feels like they're exactly where they belong. Stray Kids don't just perform for us, they transform for us. They lock away their voices, their rest, and their very personalities, just so they can become the idols we need them to be. It's a heavy price to pay for a moment of glory, but as they always say, Stray Kids everywhere all around the world. And maybe, just maybe, the reason they can reach every corner of the globe is because they've mastered the art of conquering themselves first. So, which sacrifice surprised you the most? Is it the silence of the loudest rapper, or the stillness of the most restless dancer? Drop your thoughts below, because in the world of the step out, nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Stay grounded, stay wild, and as always, stay with them.